Welcome everyone to EndNote Basics. We have two instructors for today's class, myself, Soraya Layton, and my colleague, David Ferris. We are librarians at the Research Medical Library. Today's session will be covering the most updated EndNote version, which is EndNote X9. You can access this two different ways for MD Anderson staff and students. The first way is through the Software Center. The second is through ForInfo, and they can remote in to your MD Anderson computer and download and install it. So first, what is EndNote? Why are we here? EndNote is a reference management software. EndNote's a place where you can store references that you found. It's also a place to create formatted citations, and that's really the meat and potatoes of EndNote. Of course, it can do a lot more, such as attach PDFs to references. You can use it to insert references into Word, and etc. However, we're going to be covering those main topics here, which brings us to today's agenda. Today, we're going to be covering how to create a brand new EndNote library, how to add references into your library, finding the output style, organizing your references within EndNote, and using the Cite while you write function in Word. By the end of today's class, you'll be able to do the following. You'll be able to organize your EndNote library citations, how to find and save full text articles, getting references into EndNote, and inserting and formatting references while using the Cite while you write function in Word. Do we have any questions about what we'll be covering in today's class? Okay, so let's begin by first up opening EndNote. So what we have here is my desktop. You can see that I already have the EndNote icon on my toolbar. However, if you've just downloaded EndNote, you first need to go to the Start menu, which is down here at the bottom, finding E for EndNote, and then you see the purple and white icon here. When I click it, this pops up. So EndNote always wants to open up your most recently used library. The reason why it can't find my library is I deleted it. So I am going to say, okay. And you see the gray EndNote program. To create a new library, you go up to File in the left-hand corner and select New. Right away, EndNote has given me the suggestion name of my EndNote library. While that is a fine name, if I were to use that name and then if I want to share my library with David, who maybe also kept the same file name, that can be confusing quickly. So I do suggest renaming it. I'm going to just use my name, Soraya. You can also use perhaps the topic of what your paper is about. That's another great option. I want you to note that it's going to save it as a .enl file. This will be important in just a minute. EndNote has recently started automatically saving library into the documents folder. Today, I'm going to leave it there. However, we do recommend you saving your library to a network drive. This will allow you to be able to access your library from your on-campus computer as well as your MD Anderson computer at home, so you won't have any issues there. I'm going to say save. And what opens up is my new empty library. Let's go into my documents and see how my library is saved. At the bottom, you see Soraya Library. This is the .enl file, as well as above it, Soraya Library.data. Your EndNote library consists of these two files. You need to think of them as being married, such as a salt and pepper shaker. You're never going to use one seasoning, you need both. So if I were to move my library from my documents to a network drive, I need to grab this first one and also the second one here. Okay, I'm seeing I have a message. I saw in the EndNote website video that we have to save on the desktop to prevent the files being corrupt. Is that true? We prefer a network drive because if you are getting your computer updated, while it shouldn't change anything, it's for safety to always have it on a network drive. And if you would like, you can also save a copy on both locations. That doesn't hurt. You can save it to Box. However, we don't recommend that. And you can find that information on the LibGuide that David has put in the chat box. So if you're moving the library or even emailing it to someone, you want to grab both of these files here. Because if you only transfer one, you're not going to be able to open your library. You need both of them. So now that we've talked about how to create a library, let's get references in. There are 3 different ways to get references into your EndNote library. The first is through search the library feature on the library website. The second is through a database such as PubMed. And the third way is searching with inside of EndNote. Let's talk about the first option. I'm going to pull up Google Chrome. And I already have the library open. The website is mdanderson.org/library. If I hover over the first tab, find information, and then click search the library, this will bring up the catalog. So in the search box, I'm going to type in my topic for today, which is lung cancer screening. So now I'm going to pick a few references here just by checking these boxes off. I'll start with 4. Actually, let's grab a 5th one. And I've cut my search very broad. If you wanted to narrow it down, on the left-hand side, you can say peer-reviewed journals, journal title, etc. I've selected 5 records as seen at the top. And to bring them into EndNote, I'm going to click on the ellipses here, the ... It's already highlighted the first option, EndNote RIS, RAS, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. You don't want to choose EndNote Web. That is a different program than EndNote Desktop. So clicking on EndNote RIS, I'm not changing the encoding. All I'm clicking on is download. So EndNote RIS, download. Because I'm in Google Chrome, it is downloaded up to the bottom of my screen. If I were in Firefox, it would bring it automatically into my library. We don't recommend using Internet Explorer. It doesn't work well or as well with EndNote as Chrome and Firefox. So clicking on my downloaded file, the references are now inside my library. Do we have any questions on how I was able to do that? And then just quickly going over that again, you would first select, I'll just unclick these. You would select the reference, click on the ellipses, EndNote RIS, and download. If there's no questions about that, let's move on to the second way to get a reference, which is, I'm going to go back to the library website, hovering over Find Information. Right underneath Search the Library is PubMed. You always want to access PubMed from the library website. That way you'll get the full access of MD Anderson functionality. Yes, you can limit to PubMed searches. So I'm going to use the same search. Oh, as I'm typing search, sorry. Lung cancer screening. And once again, I'm doing a basic search, but you can narrow it just like we did before by looking on the left-hand side. It's giving me the option of choosing MD Anderson authors. Actually, I'm going to just narrow down the years a bit, bring that in, etc. And you can click and choose what you're looking for here. So I have my results here, And let's say the second one, I think I want to bring it into EndNote, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to click on the title to read a bit more of the information. Looking at the abstract, I realize this is what I would like. And so at the top where you see save, email, and send to, click on send to. And then the last option, citation manager. This will be EndNote. Create a file for external citation management software. That's EndNote. So I'm going to say yes, create file. And it downloads to the bottom of my screen. Once I click it, it'll bring it into EndNote. And where there were 5 other references, now there's only 1. That's because I'm in imported references folder, which means the most recent reference I've brought in. So that was only 1, but if I wanted to see all the references I currently have, I would see, or I'd click on all references here. Let's do that one more time. I'm gonna go back to PubMed. I'm gonna go back to my search results. And let's grab a few more. Just checking these boxes. I'm going to scroll back up. And I have the same 3 options, save, email, send to. I'm going to click on send to again, and then choose citation manager. It shows I have chosen 7 references, which is correct. And I click on create file. It's downloaded again, so I'm going to click on it. And now it will show I have 7 imported references, but now I have a total of 13 all references. Any questions on using a database like PubMed to get references for your EndNote library? Okay, great. So before I show the final way to grab a reference, which is going to be through searching EndNote, I want to show you one other thing first. Before I created my EndNote library, someone had sent me a PDF they thought I was interested in. So if I want to grab a reference from that PDF, how can I bring that in? But let's grab that reference. So I'm going to go to File, Import, File. I'm going to check the import option, and it already says PDF, but if it said something else, I want to make sure it's what I want to import. So I'm choosing PDF, and then to find the file, I'm going to click choose. In my documents, I already know I want to click on the first PDF here, and then click open. Double checking that this is the right file, which it is, and then choose import. And this looks very similar to my other references, and it has a lot of the information, so I know that this has been done correctly. If I look on the right-hand side, this is my reference panel, and if I click on reference, I see that it has filled out a lot of these fields here. And it was able to do that because this is a more recent article, 2018. So what happened was it grabbed the DOI that was attached to the PDF and filled this in for me. If I click on the second tab, the preview, this is what is going to appear in my bibliography for my paper. And we'll talk more about changing the output style in just a minute. The third tab is my full text PDF. If I want to read it, I can click on this first icon where it says open PDF, little arrow. And here is the full text. 2 features I want to point out is you can highlight inside of your PDF. You can also leave yourself a note. So I'm going to click on this sticky note. It looks like a little word bubble. I'm going to bring it to where I want to write something to myself or maybe a colleague. Double click. And you can type in anything maybe you want to come back to that idea. And I'm going to exit out, and that will just save it automatically. And similarly, all I need to do to save this is close out with this X. It'll ask me, do I want to save these changes? And yes, I do. Yes, I'm going to open up another reference with the PDF. So you can see here my changes or the highlights that I've made. And this was a perfect example, but what happens if maybe the PDF is not as new? So let's do that. I'm going to go to File, Import, File. I'm going to double check my option is on PDF. And then I'm going to click Choose to find the PDF I'm looking for. Once I find it, select it and click Open. And this is PDF 2, and I click Import. Right away, I know it was not able to gather any information from this PDF. I can look here, there's nothing, but I can also look on my reference panel and the fields are empty. If I look on the preview, same thing. The PDF is there, which is great. However, I need to go and I need to fill all of this in. And that's because it's an older article. So while this is a great function, you do need to be aware, depending on when it was written, it will have an impact on bringing that into EndNote. So similar to this, if you want to create a brand new reference, it's normally going to be because you have found information on a website. So let's talk about that. Let's go through that example. Let's head to Google Chrome. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm just going to search here in Google. And I'm going to do lung cancer. So once I scroll past the ads, I'm going to see this link right here might be interesting. And then I see, yes, this information is going to be pertinent to my paper. However, I don't see a send to or citation manager button at the top, but let me scroll down and see if it's at the bottom of the page. So I still don't see the option. So now I know that I need to create a new reference. I am seeing, however, that it is written by American Cancer Society and last revised October 1st, 2019. And I know that I'll need this for my new reference. So I'm just going to remember that, but head back to EndNote. And there are two ways I can add a manual reference. The first is by going to the top for references, and it's the first option, new reference. The second way would be clicking on this icon here that looks like a paper with a plus sign, which is what I'm going to do. It's opened up where I'm putting in the information. However, I'm seeing where it says reference type, it has given me a journal article, which isn't what we have. So I'm clicking the down button and looking for a website, web page, and that is this last option here. And then I have these fields. So we remember that the author was American Cancer Society, and the year was 2019. I need the title, so let me go and grab that. So I'm going to copy it and paste. The access date is today, that's when I found it. So 10/6/2020. I'm going to scroll down to see if there's anything else I can input. I can grab the URL. So copying that, pasting it. And just like before when I was editing my PDF, to save it, I just exit out, close, and then asks me, do I want to save these changes? Yes, I do. So now I see there's a bit more information here. Let's check out the preview tab. So this isn't correct. EndNote has tried to create a full first and last name from American Cancer Society. However, this is an organization. So to fix this, I need to go back in and edit my reference. So I'm going to select it, double click. When you have an organization, you need to add a comma and a space. And this is just one of the quirks of EndNote, but this will be able to have the full name of the organization. I exit out, say yes, save these changes. And now it has correctly edited it for me. And this output style right here is APA 6, and I know that because over on the left-hand side, it says APA 6, but if I want to change the output style, I just click on the down arrow and I can change it to JAMA, and it updates it on the reference panel. However, if the output style isn't on the drop-down here, I can say this first choice, select another style. It will open up to a vast list of journal output styles. And if I find one I like, I select it and click choose, and it will bring it into my EndNote library. Any questions on that? Yes, and I will be discussing the find full text function in just a minute. Okay, and I do want to point out that creating a manual reference, we do prefer that's more of a last resort. We want to check to see if there is that send to reference manager button because they have already created it for you. And as we all know, humans aren't perfect, so we are more prone to creating a mistake. However, this has worked out just fine for us today. Okay, to bring in a reference, the last way is searching with inside of EndNote. We'll be focusing on these three icons up here. Currently, we are in local library mode. This is where you're going to be doing most of everything. However, if you want to search within inside of EndNote, you will be using the other two functions, online search mode and integrated library and online search mode. You do want to be careful because local library looks very similar to this third button here. And you can see that you still have your references. However, at the bottom, you now also have the online search function. So what this means is if I'm searching in integrated library mode, then anything I find will be brought in automatically into my all references. So that could be if I were to search and I found maybe one reference, it'll go in, but if I also found 500 references, they will automatically go into my library. So that can be a bit frustrating. So we say, please be cautious when using this option. Alternatively, for the online search mode, it's only showing my search feature here. And what that means is anything that I search for and the references are brought in, they're temporary. So I get to pick and choose which references that I bring into my library. So let's go ahead and do an example for this one here. First, you need to choose your database you want to search in. I'm going to say PubMed. However, if you want a different database, all you need to click is more. And then the box will pop up and you can choose from this selection here, which is quite a lot. However, I want to choose PubMed, so I need to click that. And let's do a broad example such as I want to find an article from Dr. Pisters. So it's already an author name, so I'm going to type in Pisters, comma, PW, and search. So it has found 283 records. Just to save time, I'm going to narrow that down to 50 records. And this is what the online search has found. Now let's say I want to bring in these few articles. I select the ones that I like, right click, and say copy references to. So right now I only have one library. If I had 5 or 10, then that list would show up here in copy references to. So I say, please copy them to Soraya Library. I can go back to local library mode and check. My all references have updated themselves, and you can also see these are the ones that I've recently brought in. So let's do that one more time, going to online search. And you can see right when I clicked back to online search, it didn't bring me to my database. So if I want to search again, I have to click on PubMed or whichever database you want to use. Let's change this to, I have the PMID. So first I need to change the field to PMID. And I'm going to go back, I'm going to cheat a little bit, go back to PubMed and take one that I don't already have. Scroll down. Here's the PMID. So I'm going to grab this number sequence, head back to EndNote, paste it here, and say search. And it's found one, which is exactly what I'm looking for. To bring that in, I right-click, copy references to, and choose the library, which is Soraya Library. Any questions on the online search mode?
Soraya?
Yes.
This is David. There was one question in the chat for creating a guideline, reference for a guideline like UCCN. We have an FAQ, so I put that in to the chat if anybody wants to see how we do that.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, great. The second option of searching with inside of EndNote is integrated library and online search mode. So I'm going to click on this. Looks like a little folder with the globe inside. It has my references up top. However, I also now have the online search here at the bottom. I'm going to again choose PubMed. However, you can click more and find a different database. Let's do a similar search of Dr. Pisters. So we remember when I first did that, it came up with over 200 references. However, I don't want those to be brought into my library, so I want to narrow my search by saying year of 2019. I'm going to say search. So it has found 3 records, and I want to point out I now have 25 references here. So look what happens when I click OK. They have automatically gone into my library. So from 25 to 28, which isn't a ton. However, if you were unaware that that would happen and I had only searched for Dr. Pisters, then the 200 plus would have gone straight to my library. So that's why we say, please be cautious when using this option. Any questions on searching inside of EndNote? And while you're typing, I'm going to go ahead and launch our first poll. Just going to give a short few seconds. The answers are anonymous, or all the polls are anonymous, so feel free to guess. It's totally fine. No one's going to be called out. And we're all learning, so there's no wrong answer. Just we'll discuss it. Okay, I'm going to end polling now. Here are our results. So online search is the temporary one, and that's here. And that's the one where you get to pick and choose which references go in. The right answer is integrated search, and that is this third icon where you have both your library and the search mode. So these are the ones that went straight to the library. Great job. I now want to discuss the layout of EndNote, and you can change it at any time with this button here at the lower right corner, which says layout. I actually prefer this how it's already set up. However, I know some people like the reference panel to be at the bottom. And this might be better for your eyes if it just makes more sense to you. You can also change the reference panel to be split, the PDFs here, reference and preview here. So go ahead and you can mess around with that and then bring it back to how it was before. You can also move the columns in this box around. And I currently have pages as a column, and that might not be for everyone. So if you see something and you want to change it, you just right click on where it highlights in blue. And let's say you don't want to see the pages, you can uncheck it. Alternatively, you can right click and you can say, I want pages, and I also right click again and want the volume. So that's the layout. And before I move on, before we move on to groups, I'm going to show you how to grab more find full text options. So to do that, you need to access the EndNote LibGuide, which is the link that we put in the chat box at the beginning of class. But if you end up losing it, we will send it out in the follow-up email. However, let me show you how to find it from the library website. Instead of hovering over Find Information, the first tab, you go to the second one for classes and choose EndNote. And this is our guide here. For Find Full Text, you click on this tab that says Find Full Text Articles. And it's 4 very short steps. Once I'm in EndNote, I'll follow this instruction of Edit, Preferences, Find Full Text. But it's telling me I need to grab this URL. So I'm going to copy it, and I can also click on this screenshot so I can see what I'm about to be doing. So now that I have the URL, I'm going to go back to EndNote and follow these instructions. Edit at the top, Preferences, which is this last option. And then on the left-hand side, so maybe first it had PDF handling, I need to change it to Find Full Text. So that was Edit, Preferences, Find Full Text. Just like the screenshot shows, I need all 4 of these boxes checked. And I already had this here, but let me delete it. And then you paste that URL here in the open URL path. This is allowing you to have access to everything MD Anderson. You click Apply, and then OK. Very simple. So I know I'm in my integrated, so I need to go back to my local library. Now I want to see if I can get PDFs for these references in my library. There are 2 options. I can go up to References at the top and say Find Full Text, and then Find Full Text. But the easiest option is clicking this icon that has the Adobe logo inside of magnifying glass. So when I click that, on the left-hand side, I see that it's searching here for these 4 references. And if something is found, the PDF, then it'll attach itself by the paperclip. So I know that one has been found. I can also see one hasn't been found, but it's still searching. So when I click on this one where it found the PDF, by going to the reference panel, I see here is the full text PDF, which is pretty awesome. So it found 3, it didn't find 1. And if you really wanted the PDF for this one, you can try to contact the library and see if we can get it for you through interlibrary loan. And let's say we were able to get it. Then when you're ready, you go back in, and on the reference panel, all you need to do is click the paperclip to attach, and then you upload it and click Open. Any questions on finding full text articles? So that would just be, I'll do one more. You select the one you want and then click on the Find Full Text. Okay, so now that we have gone through that, oh, and I was able to find it. Great. How do you organize inside of your EndNote library? You can see on the left-hand side where it says My Groups, I need more than one. So I'm going to select My Groups, right-click, and say Create Group. This first one I'm going to title just pretty basic, Paper 1, click Enter. I'm going to do that again, right-click, Create Group, Paper 2, Enter. What we have now is a group set. However, these two papers I'm writing as a solo author, but I have another paper I'm working on as a co-author. So I want to create a second group set. I can do that by doing the exact same, right-clicking, and instead of saying create group, I'm going to say create group set. I'm going to title this co-authors, enter. Now, if I want to add another group under the co-authors group set, I now need to select this one, right-click, and say create group. The title or the topic for this paper is patient care, enter, and I can do that one more time, right-click, create group. The topic for this one is lung cancer, enter. I can also go back and say, you know, I don't want this group set to be called My Groups. So I'm going to select that, right-click, and say rename group set. I'm going to retitle this solo author, enter. So you're able to do it, you know, by the topic, maybe by the author's last name, however it makes sense to you is how you can organize it into the hierarchy of group sets. So there are two options. I feel like everything here has two options. So first would be going to select these few references. I can right-click and say add references to, and I have all of my groups listed here. So I'll say paper 1. And now I have those 6 here. I can also select a few and I can drag them and drop them into the group of my choice. Do it one more time. A reference can live in multiple groups. So maybe I want all of my references I'm going to use in paper 2, but I've used different references in different groups. What happens if I want to remove a reference from a group? I select the group and then I find the reference I don't want in this group. So let's choose this first one, select it, right click, and say remove references from group. And this message pops up saying, do you want to delete this reference from group paper 1? References will not be deleted from your library. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want it deleted from my overall library. You can check this, however, I don't because I want this keeping me accountable to make sure I don't accidentally delete something that I don't want. So I'm going to say, yes, I do want to remove it from my group. Paper 1 has gone down 1 reference, but all my references are still here, all 28 of them. What happens if I select a reference, right-click, and instead of saying remove references from group, I accidentally say move references to trash? So while it has removed from the group, it's also removed from my overall references. It's gone from 28 to 27, which isn't what I wanted. Luckily, I can go into the trash folder and it's still here. And I'm going to just drag it and drop it back into all references. Any questions on how I did that about anything groups and adding or deleting? Oh, there's one other thing I forgot to mention. EndNote likes that you're organized. And I can see here in the unfiled folder, I still have one that I didn't file away. And this is helpful in a way that if I'm looking at my lung cancer group, and I'm realizing there's one reference that I really wanted to use for this paper, but I can't remember what it was. I can go and double check in the unfiled and say, yes, it was this one. And because I didn't add it to my group yet, so I can select it and drag it and drop it. Okay, if there are no questions here, it is now David's segment.
And hello to everyone. My name is David, and I'm going to share with you some tips for using your EndNote library when writing your manuscript. So we've been talking about Cite While You Write. And what is Cite While You Write? You might also see it as an initialism, CWYW. Cite While You Write is a plugin that is automatically added to Word when you install EndNote Desktop. When you open Word, you will see a tab in the ribbon that is labeled EndNote X9, as you can see right here. This tab includes all of the features you'll need to use your EndNote library with your Word document. And I'm going to demonstrate some of the main features you'll use to insert, remove, and format the in-text citations and references. So first up, let's discuss how to insert citations in your document. There are two ways to insert EndNote citations. The first method uses the EndNote X9 tab in Word, what we're looking at. And the second method allows you to insert citations directly from your EndNote library. Here's a tip. Before you insert your first reference, you'll want to open the EndNote library with the references you want to use because, as Soraya mentioned, EndNote defaults to the last library you had open, which may be different from the library you want to use. So I have my EndNote library open and I have my document open. So the first method is you're going to place your cursor where you would like to insert a citation. I'm placing it here. And then go to the tab, EndNote X9, and then click on Insert Citation. Now you see a search box here. I type A because I like to see all of my references I have in my EndNote library, but I could also do a search. For instance, if I wanted to see all of the references that have something to do with coffee, that's a way to limit it. If I wanted to, if I knew an author, I could just limit it by that as well. So I'm going to type A again to bring all of my references. And let's say I want the first reference and the third reference. Come down and press Insert. And you'll notice that the reference has been inserted. When you click on an EndNote reference in Word, it will turn a light gray. That's an indication that it is an EndNote reference. So let's add a couple of more. Go back. You can click on the Insert button at the top or the drop-down menu. It's as you like. So I want to insert a few more. And as you noticed, you can insert more than one EndNote in a location. So I'm going to take these four, again, Insert, and it automatically inserts. If I wanted to put a space between the word and the in-text citation, I can do that. You notice that my reference list has already been created. And according to the style, the formatting style, it is listed in order of appearance in the text that is already taken care of. And I will share some information about formatting. So the second method is when you're working in your EndNote library. So let's go to our EndNote library. I've already opened the library, as I mentioned. And you can click right here in the citation section on the ribbon, go to EndNote. That opens my EndNote library, and I can select references directly here from this library. Now I've got my 3 references and I want to insert them, but before I insert them, I'm not sure where my cursor is. So I need to go back to Word. Well, very easily, I can click on this Word icon right here in the ribbon of EndNote Library. And it's a good thing I checked because I would have inserted my references in the middle of a word. I want to push space. I'm going to go back to EndNote. And then the little icon with the quotation marks is the Insert Citation button. I click that, and it automatically inserts my references and adds them to the bibliography. Are there any questions about the 2 ways to insert citations in your manuscript? Let's see, I don't see any in the chat, so let's proceed. The second topic we're going to cover is removing citations. Let's pretend we entered a citation, but we did it by mistake. We grabbed the wrong one, so we want to, for instance, remove number 8, this reference. Now, there is one correct way to remove EndNote citations from your document, and it is very important to follow the steps I'm about to share. You never want to use the delete key, the backspace key, or the keyboard shortcut for cut, Control X, to remove EndNote citations, because it will corrupt the EndNote coding that is embedded in the Word document. And then Cite while you write will no longer work correctly. So every EndNote reference inserted in your document is controlled by invisible coding that is embedded in the document. And this coding is responsible for the appearance and formatting of citations in the reference list. So I want to pull the curtain back and show you, for instance, right here, what is creating all of this? Well, that is this. If you'll notice, all the light gray shaded, all the text in light gray is the actual coding that is invisible to us, but it is embedded in the Word document, and it is what creates the EndNote citation. It changes the formatting. It keeps track of the appearance. So if you were to delete this in-text citation reference, EndNote reference, with the delete key, the backspace key, if you copy it, if you select it, highlight it, and then Control X to cut, what's going to happen is you're going to delete this particular key citation, but this citation also interacts with other citations that you've entered in the document that controls the formatting. So it will potentially corrupt this coding that will have effect on other citations. So let me show you the correct way to remove a citation. You want to put your cursor where the citation occurs in the text that you want to remove. We want to remove number 8. And then on the EndNote X9 tab, Citations section, it's Edit and Manage Citations. Now you'll notice in this window, we have all of the references that we have inserted. The reason you want to select, highlight it in text is because it will sort of put you in the section. So I have 3 references inserted here. I want the second one, so I'm going to click on that one. And I'm going to drop down menu, click the little arrow, and I want to remove citation and select OK. What that does is it removes the particular citation, it renumbers, reformats both the in-text citation, and it removes it here and renumbers. Mattioli was 9, it is now number 8. Let me show you this again. Let's do number 5, or how about let's number 3, this particular reference here. So I'm going to put my cursor on the reference, in-text citation, edit manage citations. It's automatically selected the group, and I do want to remove Romulo. But let's pretend that I actually had 2 references by this person from the same year. So how can I be sure if I forget? Well, you don't have to close this out. You can just look below in the reference section. This gives you all of the information that appears in the reference. Here's the title, page numbers, volume, all of this information so that you can be sure that this is the correct reference you wish to remove. Again, drop-down menu, remove citation, and in order to complete the process, you have to click OK. But what if I wanted to remove another reference? Well, I could do that as well. Select the reference we want to remove citation, and click OK. And notice I have removed those citations here. My citations have renumbered in the text, and my reference list is also now renumbered. Are there any questions about removing citations? Just a reminder, these EndNote citations and the references are dynamic. When you remove or you insert a citation, it automatically updates both within the text and the reference list. For example, let's add another reference. Let's say we wanted to add another reference to this group. So I'm going to put my cursor there, and I'm going to go to Insert. Let's say we want this reference. Let's say Insert. Notice how it automatically updated the format. Rather than 1, 2, it's all 3. It added it here. It's number 3. And that's all there is to this. So if there are no questions, I'm going to share with you my final little tip. I can change the style of the formatting by selecting a new output style. So that is located here. Right now, the output style I have is Vancouver. If I select the drop-down menu, I can choose another output style. For instance, let's pretend I've submitted this to the journal and they said, yes, we want Vancouver, but actually we don't really want Vancouver. We actually want another one. So they say we want now APA 6. It's very easy. You select APA 6 and you notice it automatically formats according to the style. If you do not see your output style here, the very first option is always select another style. And this opens the EndNote X9 Styles menu where you have over 7,000 styles you can choose from. Journals have teamed up with EndNote to create their own output style, so you don't need to create it. If you do not see your EndNote style here, what you can do is go to Google, and I always just type in EndNote output styles, and I've typed it so many times, Google knows exactly what I want. So there are over 7,000 EndNote styles. You just type in a keyword for the journal. It found 80. Let's pretend I want cancer, so let's just go ahead and download it. I'm using Chrome, so it automatically appears at the bottom. I'm going to click on that. It opens in my EndNote. I'm going to go ahead and close. Now, you might get a message asking if you want to save it. If you do, go ahead and save. Let's go back here and select that particular output style. It was called cancer. It is not listed in my little menu here, my abbreviated menu. Select another output style, listed alphabetically. Let's go and find it. Okay, it's cancer. There we go. And automatically it will reformat this particular style like superscript, and it updates the reference list. Are there any questions about any of the topics I covered? If not, I have a question for you. So my question to you is, what is the best way to delete EndNote citations in Word? Will you place the cursor directly after the citation and use the backspace key? Will you use the Edit and Manage Citations feature? Will you select the citation and press the delete key? Or you can use any of these methods. They all work. And I'll give you several seconds to answer. As Soraya mentioned, it's anonymous, so feel free to answer. There's no wrong answers. There's just a more correct, best use practice answer. Okay, let's see how everyone did. I've ended the polling. I'm sharing results. Okay, we have some differences here. Let's go back. Let me close this. Stop sharing results. Close. Yes. EndNote is very persnickety about removing references. If you delete with the delete key, if you use the backspace key, if you use Control X, if you use any of those methods other than the only way that EndNote likes, you will corrupt your document over time. And what happens is when you come back to your document and you need to edit it or add new references, it will not work properly. So to remove a citation, highlight the section where it's located. On the EndNote X9 tab, Edit and Manage. Let's say we wanted this reference to remove. Remove reference. Select OK. And it automatically updates. So that is all I have to share with you. I'm going to turn it back over to Soraya.
Thanks, David. So please leave any questions you have in the chat box below, and I'm just going to discuss quickly different ways you can get in contact with us at the Research Medical Library. You are able to book a consultation, and this is a wonderful service. You can do it via Skype or Zoom. And this way we'll be able to share screens and see exactly what's going on your computer and work together to find an answer. You can text us, you can chat with us. There is always a librarian online to answer questions 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Also, you can email us if you think of a question later on tonight at 11 p.m. about today's class. Shoot us an email and we'll get back to you the following day. I just wanted to let you know we will be sending out a follow-up email with the recording and link to the EndNote guide. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. We are going to leave the class survey below. This will help us better today's class, but also create content that you want to see for the future. All right, well, everyone have a wonderful day. Thank you again.